Good evening to all the listeners and viewers around the world. Welcome to yet another exciting episode of Airworthy Talks by Udan Aviation Academy. Now, we all know that India tops the world with highest percentages of female pilots. And it's a fact that we all Indians are proud of. Though pilot is a gender neutral term, the toils of becoming a pilot for females are quite distinctive in India. Our podcast guests belong to that elite 12.4% female population that touches the sky with glory. Her journey of faith, resilience, and perseverance to achieve her place in the sky is absolutely noteworthy. She is a pilot with one of the leading airlines in India and has been flying the ATR fleet for the past 4 years, clocking in more than 2000 plus flying hours to her cap. A pilot by profession, an inspiring mother, an adventurer at heart, and an eternal speaker of spiritual growth. Join me in welcoming our guest for the podcast today, Captain Niveditha Jakkula. Good evening, ma'am. Welcome to our show.
Good evening. Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
I'm really
Thank you so
glad.
much, ma'am. Yes, right. So, ma'am, there is this inner child in me that's asking me this question, and I ask this to every pilot whom I met. Okay. What point in your life it occurred to you that, hey, you know what, I should become a pilot? So what was that moment in your life for you?
For me, let me ask you this. I'm a pilot. I want to be a pilot. The word pilot itself, it's so fascinating to the ears. So something like that happened to me. You always see childhood, your parents will make you see those parades for 26 Jan and all, where, all the Air Force things, they go, you see the planes flying. And that was there. You come to know that, there is something called piloting. So
Right.
after my summer holidays, we happened to go to the school, first day of the class, where people introduce themselves and then they ask you what you want to become and all. So I uttered this word pilot. I want to be a pilot. And there was an absolute silence, a pause in the class, and my teacher started clapping.
Yeah.
And I felt so proud. I did not do anything till then. It's just the word. I think the word itself was magic for me. And that is the day I decided that I want to be a pilot. And I was in fifth standard, to mention. So
Wow.
I think that is when it got into me. That's it. So from then I wanted to become a pilot, and I'm glad that I'm a pilot now. And it took, I don't know, it took 30 years for me
Wow.
to become a pilot. Yes.
That's quite inspiring from the word go. And in fact, when I was in my fifth standard, I don't know what I wanted to become, but definitely piloting was not one of those. So that idea of becoming pilot stuck to you at a very early age. And from there your journey started. You cleared your 10th, 12th, and after that you had this nag that you want to go to Canada and do your pilot training out there. Now,
Yes.
being a girl, how easy or difficult was that for you to sort of go out to your parents and say that, you know what, I have decided that I want to become a pilot now practically, and I want to go abroad and do my piloting? So how did that pan out for you, man?
See, I come from a very orthodox family,
Mhm.
and I have decided I want to be a pilot, and I know I want to be a pilot. So whatever little information I used to gather from anywhere, I was putting into that way. I was going in that way. Say, I was very, very scared of maths. I could never do math. So, but you have to have math if at all you want to be into aviation. Math and physics is a compulsory thing. So you have to do math. I I sat down with my mom in my 10th standard, just make sure that I pass math. I at least get 60%. That is what I want, nothing
Right.
more. So she bought me a tutor especially for that. And, I got 93 marks. I was astonished myself, and then uh, your parents or, anybody, if at all you put out your dream or you say, this is what you feel like doing,
Mm.
the other person has to see that in you. I cannot
Very
sit
true.
in the house and say that I want to become an aviator, I want to become an artist, just by sitting idle. Any point you have to show them that, you have it in you and you are potential doing it. And parents know it better. There is no one else who can judge you or do anything. Parents know it better. They know their kid, like just by looking at them. How does a mom know that, she's feeling hungry? So they just know you. I think my mom, there is always this good cop, bad cop in a family. So my mom, being a good cop, she always used to encourage me, and whatever information I was getting was through her. Whatever she knows or whatever information she collects in news and all, she was helping me. So, we got that, and I cleared maths. 10th May I got good marks. And then I again told my dad, this is my interest. My dad wanted me to be an engineer.
Oh.
And which is what I don't want to be. I told him that I want to pursue aviation. And then he's like, I cannot afford, me coming from a small family, obviously, and we were in a joint family. So we were close to 9 kids in our family. And and I was the first one. I can tell you proudly that I was the first one to clear 10th in my house.
Wow.
So, yeah. So it happened to be such, orthodox family, and anything offbeat you tell them. Like, say engineering, doctor, they still understand, but this is completely offbeat. And especially for us, it was like, she's asking, this girl has gone crazy, she just keeps doing stuff which is unnatural for a woman to do. So so my dad kind of had a hunch. He's like, let's see, finish your +2, let's see. And then while doing my +2, he insisted me on engineering, while I didn't want to be an engineer, but still I have done, my MSET, and I have given the entrance for engineering. In the meanwhile, I also joined Air Force NCC. So I started flying there only. We started flying Zen Air. Even to fly in an NCC as a cadet, you need to write an exam. You need to clear that exam. That is when they make you start flying. While doing NCC, I realized that, if at all I join Air Force, because of my family, can't afford more. And, I being into NCC, I can get into Air Force and all. I realized that if at all you get into aviation, into Air Force also, no, you might not getting a fly job. Not everyone gets a flying job. You will be put on ground. So there is no guarantee you'll get a flying job. So that I told my mom. And at that point of time, I was 16. I was 16 years. So teenager, she's always on her nerve, she wants to do everything in the world. I definitely, I am an achiever. I would say, I would be an achiever. I will tell I'll be an achiever all my life. I think that's what I've been striving for. And I was like, I want to do it. I had no idea. My mom said that is when came in news that, commercial airlines are also booming, and you don't need anything more than your +2. You just have to have +2 intermediate with maths and physics, 60%, you're eligible to become a pilot. I was like, is it so easy?
Right.
And mom was also in the newspaper, if you read, and if you go to a flying school asking them that, my daughter wants to be a pilot, they make you feel it as they're making a cup of Maggie for you. Like, instant noodle, just banao 2 minutes, like, khilao, ho gaya. You cook for 2 minutes and it is done. That is how they show you, which is not the truth. I realized in a year's time when I was in India pursuing aviation, because I joined an Indian school initially. There was nothing, no flying, no nothing happening. That is when I wanted to go to Canada, and a very big fight started happening, because my dad, it took a very long time for him to understand and has put me in the Indian school only. Then when I wanted to go to Canada, it was another level. So he was like, she has gone mad. She is only getting carried away, at the age of 17, 18, which dad will be okay, you flying out of the country, because
very true.
You can't even distinguish between good and bad. So as a parent, now I'm a parent, so I'll not send my girl anywhere. So that I can tell you right now. So my dad definitely was anxious. So he was like, I'm not doing anything. But I don't know how I managed. I used to sit, cry in front of him. I used to lock myself inside the room saying, if you agree, then I'll come out. I used to, I don't know, I did all the possible things a teenager can do just to convince their parents. He was like, Acha, I'll send you, but I am not going to do anything for you. All the paperwork, everything you should do by yourself. And I think that is the day where I have gone out by myself. I started doing everything on my own. I think I was like a perceiver. I just needed. I just needed it, and I got my visa. He took me that my first flight was when I went for my visa interview to Delhi. That was my first flight. So yeah. So I was like, that is when when I was walking into the flight, I was also thinking, baby, I'll come back to you.
Exactly. I'll be flying this one day.
So that is the attitude I was carrying. And I went to Canada, though, my dad took a loan. We never had money. So my dad took a loan, and I somehow, I don't know, in 2 years of time, I finished everything. I came back, and this attitude of mine, where I said, baby, I'm gonna fly you one day, has actually shattered into pieces where, when the recession came in. So my journey, my finishing, piloting, me getting my CPL is all at one turn, and later me coming back from Canada with the license and with the market is the second turn in my life.
Right, exactly. Because when I was discussing with my team, and it came across your story as well, that when you came back in India, it was during 2008, 2009.
Yes.
Or in fact, during the time of recession itself, when you came back, and we had all the Kingfishers, who were, the nice and glory of Indian skies almost going bust, with other airlines, and every airline is struggling to make, forget profit, even survive on day-to-day basis. So, I mean, you had these hardships to get your pilot training. You come back to India, you get one more blow, that, the market is under a recession. So how was that challenging to you? I mean, I just wanted to understand, as a person who has been a fighter for the last 3-4 years to get what she wanted, the training is done, now she's looking out for job opportunities, how that has been for you at that particular point of time.
It was really tough. I was telling, I was shattered. That attitude of me of winning the world has gone. Like as the time passed, we waited for a year, 1 year passed, 2 years passed, and I was literally shrinking. The more than me, it's that, people who said, why are you spending so much of money on your daughter instead, let her get married, give it as a dowry only, that is more better for her. Her life would have been settled by now, They started taunting my parents. They started taunting me. So I was hibernating. I did not even go out of the room. I was like, I used to skip all the family get-togethers, everything. Because the only question what people used to ask is, what now? We told you not to do this. Hello, I need encouragement right now. You say, that is a time where you need support from people. Very where, people should encourage you. And this, sometimes I feel, or if at all I come across any situation like that with a person, I think I would better console him. I will tell him, me, after you are 30 years, 40 years of age, and you know the world better than me. So when a girl is passing by a phase like that, so as a person, you are supposed to console her, saying that, better days will come. This is
absolutely.
And might be if this is been there in any of the kids' life, or I think before, that's the reason when anyone picks up a goal or anything, they already have it in their mind that what if I don't achieve it? Because you are in a society where you have been looking at people talking to you like that, and that's the reason a lot of people are scared to do stuff. And if this is lost, I am sure I would have done much better, is what I felt, instead of me getting into that depression wala phase and then getting out of it. and then fighting for it. So this was all not required, because it is a phase of life. If you get
Absolutely.
everything easily, or if you get everything served on a platter, you don't value it. And God will definitely, in Bhagavad Gita also, it is said, just work for it. Results will come when it has to come. Don't expect the result at least. So that has
Very
been
true.
already told, and it has to be inculcated in everyone. I'm sure none of the kid like me would have suffered, or would stop dreaming. I don't know. That is how I feel. I definitely, if at all, whenever I see somebody who's aspiring to do something different, I'll say, just go ahead. There is no harm. There is no harm in trying new stuff. So
Absolutely.
my phase was bad. I took a while, and then my dad sat down with me while me, getting depressed and all. He was like, who lost the money? He did. I said, you did. Who trusted you? You did. So who should be more shattered? Who should go, who should be really mad, or who should be worried more? Actually, he should be worried more, because I have
Absolutely.
only done what I wanted to do. So remaining all part has been taken care of him. I know the struggle what he has gone through. So that was a moment where my parents were at my absolute support, and they said, like, now this has happened. So when I was giving money also, I only thought my daughter had to do something, and I'm doing it for her. I did not do it for anyone else. So I only wanted to support my daughter. So yes, I have spent for you. So my job is done. You have done everything, you can do it. So remaining part is uncontrolled, which you cannot do anything. So controlled things are done. So now it
Very
is
true.
not happening. It is not in your hands. So can you start doing something else? You're just a +2 kid. I want you to get educated, become a graduate or MBA. So that is when he was an absolute. I never thought, my dad, my dad would sit and talk to me like that. And that was very encouraging, and it was unimaginable for me, because I never thought he will come sit back and, explain me in a good way. It was nice. That's the reason I think I shut down. You just need your parents around. That's
Very
what
true.
my dad taught me. Yes.
Very true. And I think, there is a saying that behind every successful support, so that, you could fight that phase. But at the same time, we live in this society, and correct me if I'm wrong, there is a social template that is created for women's particularly. That education ke baad job hua to theek. If the job is not happening, then what, get married, get kids, and that's how the life should go for women. And I think more than our parents, the greater society enforces this particular thing. And at some point of time, our parents also see that okay, this is how it should be. So I just wanted to understand, in your case, how what was the situation for you back then, and how did you sort of navigated that particular phase, and you know entered into the cockpit finally.
I completely agree to what you say. It happened to me.
Mhm.
It happened to me. Uh, I don't know. I cannot keep saying it's a bad thing always, But,
Mhm.
bad things have to happen if you want a
Mhm.
good thing. So you have to pass through bad things if you want a good thing. So that is what I learned in my life, at least. Wherein while I started my graduation, I finished my graduation, still waiting for the job. I finished my MBA, and I was still waiting for the job. I started working, and I was still waiting for my job in aviation. I had a baby, but I still wanted to be a
Yeah.
pilot.
Right.
So there was all the phases, what I was going through. Back in my head, I know this is what I want.
Hmm.
Pursuing, becoming a pilot, getting the license, your student life, if that is all pursuing part, this madness should be there if at all you need to achieve a goal. You can
Wow.
only achieve a goal if you have madness. Like, this is what I want. No matter what is happening in your life, this is what I want. And if you have that madness, you will achieve anything. So this was there in me always. I still understand them. I still remember that I was in such a bad phase. After I got married, we had a very difficult time, wherein again people started saying, this has also gone bad for you, because marriage was also my choice. So like, whatever she's choosing, it doesn't work, I guess. You people are just letting her do what she wants to. So again, this society, you cannot, the community, that stigma, people, I feel, sometimes I feel, I don't know, it might be offensive, but I feel people are hypocrites. So, till it, you please mind your job. You don't have to get into my business. I have never come for you. And whatever I am facing is my difficulty, and I know I'll overcome it. Never in my life, though I was having problems, though I was facing challenges, though my close family was troubling me, the only thing I know is this will pass. This is just a phase.
Yeah.
This is just a phase, it will pass. And I have never ever felt that my life is going to end. I wanted to get over it. I was all the time I was only trying, how will I overcome it? Because there are always two phases if you look at it. Life mein na important cheeze hote hain, very important cheeze hote hain. So it was important for me at that point of a time to survive. I have to do a job. For my family, I have to do a job. It's important thing. The very important thing is always there in my head. So that cannot be. So if at all you look at your life like that, no, things are more easy. And I still remember when, I needed a house to stay. My close family only said, they cannot give me a house. They said, I had my baby. My baby was 6 months old. I needed a place to study. I was pursuing back my aviation. I was like, I needed a place to study. I was like, can someone please help me? It was not happening in my house. As I said, we had a bad condition, which was quite personal, wherein, I had to move from my in-laws and I came out. So I was struggling for a place. And I had no one then. I had really no one. And all I can see is my parents, crying with me. They're like, what is happening to you? And the only thing which inspired me then, or the only thing which made me move, was my parents and my daughter. I just took my daughter into my hands. I was crying. I was like, baby, I cannot do this to you. This is not the life which you deserve, and this is not the life which your mom will give it to you. So that was the only interesting part, or only the giant step, the giant step which I took in my life. I was like, I have decided I will not go to it. Whatever is disturbing me is not what I am. So what I want to do is what I will do. And I started pursuing back. I was like, I told, that madness which I have it in me. I was like, now I'll quit my job. I'll not do anything. I'll not take, if at all I keep choosing the options which I am not ready for, I will never succeed. I know this is what I want. I know this is going to make me happy. And this is what I'm choosing. So that is how I wanted to be a pilot. And then I started pursuing. I think that is how I again got back full-fledged, thinking that, there is no more looking back. If I am dying, I'll die like this. But I don't want a choice. No more choices. Because I was choosing something else all the time. And I think that's why the way the time has increased for me. So no more choices for me anymore. I will only pursue what I want. So that is what I took a step. And when I was taking that step also, I know that I have nothing with me. I had nothing with me except my parents and my kid.
Wow, that's, great determination, perseverance, whatever you want to label it, zid. you had this in you throughout the various phases, and as you speak, I'm getting this, sort of goosebumps, that so much of hardships, losing it time and again, going to the brink of, sort of losing everything, but that grit of coming back on track, giving yourself that opportunity to, be that person within the cockpit, has sort of nagged you time and again. And everyone's journey is supported by actor or actresses in a supporting role, the lead character. Okay. In your case, who were, those people around you? Yes, there were a lot of negative peoples, and now, you just show your palm to them. But who who were who were the ones who stick by you throughout your hardships?
I will, without a second time, thought, I'll say it's my parents.
Mhm,
Like, they have never left my back.
mhm,
They are always there for me, and their love will make you do anything. Because while they were sobbing along with me, I was like, they didn't have to do anything, because it's my fate. They can think that it's my fate and they could leave me like that. They don't have to fight the whole world for me. So it's definitely my parents. My dad, I don't know, now he's always on cloud nine. So it's after story, but yeah, he was just, when all these things were happening, I still remember, all the three of us used to sit together and we used to cry. How do we even get over it? The crying what we did was not the crying ki, ho gaya khatam ho gaya, was not that crying. By the crying or the whining, what we were doing, how to fix things. So this was always there with my parents.
very true. And I've heard Mukesh Ambani saying this in recent times. In this growing world of, or changing world of 3G, 4G, 5G, the only two Gs that stay constant with you are your Mataji and Pitaji. And I think that has been the story of your life, that your parents have supported you at every stage of your career, no matter what hardships you have gone through. And a big salute to them from our end as well, that without that support, without that emotional support, it's very difficult to sort of sail things. So talking about the good things now. Okay. And yes, we have gone through that hardship. So could you tell us that transition point where, you have gone through all these hardships, you have cleared your exam? What was that final phase in your, career, where you finally entered the cockpit? What was that time for you like?
See, when I started pursuing back, I told, I was like, mera mujhe chahiye. I just need it.
Right.
And that is when I think, um, I started believing God.
Mhm.
I started thinking that, you always have this question in your head, keep, do God really exist? Will you be able to see God? And all these questions you will have in your mind. And I'll definitely tell you, God exists, and you can never see a God, but definitely feel him.
Feeling.
He is just an experience, and it's a bliss you can never imagine. While I
Mhm.
started pursuing, this was so instant. I just cleared my, I had to write my exam, and that was my last attempt.
Mhm.
I cleared my exam, and I tell you, I have to give another exam. If I don't give that exam, I have to pursue my license from the beginning. I have to do all my hours. So it just
Mhm.
happened in that brink of time. I finished that, and I had someone. I don't have money, trust me, I had no money. My flying, one of my friend who I know, he's a faraway friend, he
Mhm.
sponsored me money to do my flying. So I have done my flying, I have got my language test done for free. It's like, I don't even know how it is happening. I only said, God, this is what I have decided, and you are there for me. I just want you to
Very true.
sail this boat for me. I cannot do anything more than this. I have gone to Delhi to learn another thing. Someone else from US. I have no idea who he is. He has sponsored me money. So it's like, people are, they just come together when thing has to happen, no? All of them come together and they let it happen. That universe will let it happen to you in a beautiful way, wherein, you remain with his bliss. It's like, it's happening. I know it is happening because of him. I know there is nothing, I am not doing anything. I'm just being a participant now and he's sailing my boat. I'm just sitting and enjoying right now. So everything happened in that moment. I just got my license. I don't even have a license. I just sat in that office saying ki sir, agar kal tak mujhe ye license nahi milega, I cannot apply for my CPL, my commercial pilot license. And so you need 2-3 license, radio license you require to come, to get back to your commercial pilot license. So it's like, I was holding my baby because I don't have a nanny or on anything. So I went to Delhi personally. I took a flight. Went to Delhi to his office directly. I sat with my baby, sir. I need this to get it done by tomorrow. Nobody in DGCA ever got their license in a day. He's like, now it is not the time. Tomorrow, come back tomorrow, collect your license and you can leave. It happened in such a beautiful way. I still feel astonished now, how did it even happen and how did I even get a job? So that was there. I finished my license and then in 15 days of time, I went for my type rating. Within 15 days, people wait for years together, it seems, to get a partner. I was like, I just got a partner. I don't know from where. I just got a partner in 15 days time. I went for my type rating. I came back in 2 months of time. Indigo came up. 3 months of time, Indigo came up. And then I started working with them.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think, there is a right time for everything. And
definitely.
There is a right time for everything. And that one thing that you mentioned, that, there has to be good after all that bad. Okay. You have to go through the hardships before you ultimately, taste that success. And brilliant. I mean, after almost fighting for good 2 decades, you finally found yourself into the cockpit. And there are a lot of learners, or there are a lot of pilot aspirants who come to me, Captain, and then they say like, yes, it's an expensive affair of doing all of this training and all. Will I get a job or not? Okay. And this question, I cannot say them yes or no. Okay, because this is again a very personal journey to each of them. Now, I just wanted to ask from you that during your time as well, you have faced this question several times. Okay, that will I get a job or not? You did your training from Canada, you came back, will I get a job or not? Okay,
Yes.
You went ahead, you did all the hardships. At every point of time, this question might have been coming to your mind that after all of this, will I get a job or not? So what will be your advice to these young professionals whenever they get this question in their mind?
It is definitely a very common question. Like everyone wants results first. If you go to gym also, like, if I come to gym 3 months regularly, will I get abs? Like, it's a common question everywhere. Everyone wants results.
Right.
So let me tell you, aviation is the most dynamic environment ever. It's like anything happening around, it affects aviation first. So it's a very dynamic thing. And the only thing, not other than academics and flying, the most important thing what you require while in aviation is patience. So yes, you will get a job. I'll tell you definitely, if not now, if not in 2 years, if not in 6 years, 10 years. I took 11 years to get a job. So I'm sitting here, I'm a live example. You will definitely get a job, but you need to have that patience. If you get diverted, nobody can tell you, nobody can give you, suggest you, acha, you'll get a job, you do this, you do something else. No, you have to be persistent and you will get a job. The only key here is, you have to be strong enough, because things will not go according to your way. things will not happen the way you want it to happen. So it's a very, as I said, dynamic and uncontrolled environment. You give
Right.
your good and you wait for it. Be a strong mind. It's not just you. You have to handle your family, your friends, your cousins, whoever it might be. You're going to handle every them. So you have to be strong enough, and you have to take. You need to have patience enough and you have to be strong enough. Simple. You will get a job.
Very true, and very rightfully said. I think it's that passion, it's that grit, it's that attitude to never give up and keep your passion and hopes alive. I think that is something that is the underlining recipe of becoming a
Yeah, yeah.
pilot and getting immune to all of this.
To
Right.
add more to this, people who come thinking that this is a fancy job and they'll have a greater lifestyle. No, we don't have greater lifestyle. Everybody, you touch a pilot, everyone has a story, either before getting a job or after getting a job. Whoever had jobs by the time of Kingfisher, after Kingfisher lost, people even committed suicide because they couldn't take it.
Very
So
true.
I'm telling you, it's not a fancy job. It's like another job only. Only if you're passionate enough, or only if it becomes your ikigai of your life, where it gives you happiness and being healthy. You live for a longer life. So this for me, aviation is an ikigai. That's what I can say. So if at all that is your life, then definitely that is when you choose getting into aviation.
And I think, and that $1,000,000 smile on your face actually resonates that you have finally found your proper ikigai.
Very
So
true.
there you go. Right. So I think you were, I mean, I just wanted to also understand from you is that, and you just said a couple of points around it. So let's say, what are some of the common things that young professionals should avoid while entering the pilot space? What are some of the deadly mistakes that they should always avoid?
For me, what I have always seen, because your family and friends come to you once you are into aviation and all, they keep coming and asking, kya karna hai? What do I do? So I think that's the first thing what you have to seek, rather than jumping into a school directly. You collect as much as information you can from others, wherein, because aviation is a very costly affair, and the moment you get into it, you're just pitching money into it all the while. So it's a very costly affair. There are a lot of forums. There are a lot of people like you, who suggest and who helps students. So they have to collect as much as information they can before going and paying a flying school in lump sum. Because the moment you pay money, you're stuck with that school. They don't give it back to you. So this is a mistake I have seen personally. They go to a lot of big schools wherein they promise that they'll finish their flying in a year. All these things, they just promise. As I said, and I mentioned before also, no, they make it sound like a Maggie noodle. So
Right.
no. So the moment parents also, who doesn't want their kid to be settled by the age of 20? So everyone will be, happy and exciting, thinking, my daughter or my son is going to settle down soon. No, just don't go with that, because it doesn't happen. Big things takes time. So we have to have that in mind and go slowly, take it slow. First, go for medicals, because if at all you start flying in the beginning, or if you start, doing exams in the beginning, it doesn't work. First of all, check yourself if you're properly eligible or not. All your body parts, everything. Because they have a lot of criteria for your first medicals, so they check
Right.
everything. So if the moment you clear your medicals, that is when you think about getting into exams. So clear your exams next. And flying is the last part, which is an investment where you're going to give in, like, nowadays it's pretty expensive, I guess. 50-60 lakhs is just taking for the flying. So
Right.
that is when you invest money for flying. So I would suggest, finish your medicals, finish your exams, then think about flying. And before you do all these things, get a clarity in mind, thinking that, are you capable of taking all this stress or not?
Perfect. I think you have summed it up really well, that analyze, make thoughtful decisions, and then clear your paper first, and then go for the heavy financial stuff towards the end once you have cleared the major roadblock.
Yeah, exactly. You can't burden your parents.
Very true. Very true. Right. So it's been almost 2 decades now, and I, wish that you fill the sky for the next 3 decades and sort of conquer it every time you're out there on the cockpit. So out of these long 20 years, what has been the best memory for you as an airline pilot that makes you feel at the end of the day that yes, it's all worth it?
Uh, I will tell you. I may not tell you that for me, uh, it's like my life. No, I'll not tell you all those things. But for me, if at all you ask me, my proud thing is whenever I wear a uniform. I may not look like a model. Okay, I may not look like, but the moment I wear my uniform and I walk, I may, people will definitely turn around and look for me. Like, they turn their head like as if some model is walking or some celebrity is walking. That's like the proudest moment for me. It's like I have achieved it. I don't want anything more.
Right.
This, what else you need? Lot of people have goals, and I can say hardly 3 or 4% achieve what they want. And I'm lucky enough that I stand in that line. So I'm glad for it. It's all His mercy, and I don't want anything.
Right. Perfect. I think it's such a touching story that after almost a decade, you have finally found your rightful place, and having that office high up in the sky.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like a fairy tale at the end of the day. After almost all the hardships. I mean, one fine day you could sell this story to a producer and they could make a movie out of it.
I know. But when, it's while flying also, you get taunts from your captains and all, they say, and I keep smiling. I don't know. I'm weird. I keep smiling, but because I know this is nothing. Whatever they're yelling at is nothing. I get to sit, high above in the sky and have a sip of coffee. Whoever who gets this privilege, people pay millions to do this. And I'm happy. It's okay. You can yell at me. I don't mind. I am at my happy place. That's what I get from.
Right, perfect. So that brings us into this very exciting and happening podcast, Captain Niveditha. Thank you so much for your time. But before I leave, there is this section which we do for all our podcast. It is called as the rapid fire round. Okay.
Sure.
So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and I want sort of quick answers for those. Okay.
Yeah.
So my first question to you is, and I would like you to take back to the pandemic time. Okay, not everyone would like to remember pandemic, but yes, what is that one thing that you have started to do in the pandemic that you were not doing previously?
Previously, I was not. Actually, I had to do a lot of things in pandemic. It was not just I was doing a lot of things. I was doing a lot of things. I don't know. I was just thinking, pandemic mein kya nahi kiya maine? That's everything.
Anything that stands out to you that, okay, this is something that I've done in this pandemic?
For me, I think I started reading books.
Very true. I think that is one of the habits that I am now picking up. And I'm like trying to get, sort of use flashy lines from the books in my podcast, although it hardly works, but sort of getting there. Right. My next question to you is, what is that one thing that you would like to change in the airline pilot sector?
People have to be more calm.
Okay.
Have to be more calm. I think that they have to develop, like, sledging happens everywhere. So, be a Sachin.
Well said. Right.
Yeah, you have to become Sachin. It's there everywhere.
Yeah, we need to play the long run at the end of the day. Right.
Yes.
Perfect. My next question to you is, what would be your advice to your 20-year-old self at this point of time?
Advice for myself or for everyone?
For everyone who is like in their 20s now. Yeah.
20s mein na. I would say life is beautiful. It's like, you just have to enjoy it and do things which you like. Stop thinking about others. It's your life. In the end, you are answerable to yourself, Just stay calm. Till the time you don't hurt others, you're always in good hands. So
Right.
just keep doing it. Yeah.
Very well said. Very well said. Right. My next question to you is, are you more into turboprops or jet engines or flying jets?
I
What do
always
you?
wanted to fly jet, but when I got into turboprops, I think I have started falling in love eventually, though it is scary. But it's absolute flying. It's absolute flying is what I say. Uh, it's like, you're in weather all the time. You know, if someone imagines flying is like within clouds, then turboprop is something like that. You are always in clouds. You get to see weather. You will actually become an aviator. So
Right.
yeah. So right now I think I'll say turboprops.
Turboprops. Brilliant. And my final question to you is, if Captain Niveditha wouldn't have been into aviation, then what Captain Niveditha would have been doing?
As I had a long break in between, I did find my second love. I did find my second love where, it just takes me away from the world. I am so fond of kids, and I am so cornered to women because of whatever I have gone through. I can see myself in every other woman. And I feel that, at least if at all I can help one woman properly, at any point there are so many, something or the other keeps happening. There's so many points where you feel weak. So if at that weak point of a woman, when she's at her brink of her life wherein she doesn't know, if I can help one woman like that, I think my life is settled for them. I do want to open I have actually started, but it is not running functionally. I have opened this trust. So it's called Crisis Home for Women and Children. So I don't want to do anything. I am not going to do magic for them. I'm not going to stand anything. But if a woman, she's facing any challenges, because after marriage, no, she doesn't belong to her mom's place, nor she has in-laws. So anything happens to her, she has to come alone and stand on the road, which I suffered, and I don't want anyone else to happen. So I can only provide them house. I'll give them accommodation, food till the time they are settled in their life. They are happy. They have their mind is free. So that is what I want to do. I just want to start my crisis home, which I have started. I want to, do it functionally, all organized. So we'll be doing it pretty soon. In God's grace, it will start happening. It will be happening very quick. Might be this year. I'll start taking a place, and I have to do something about it. So this is what I want to do.
Perfect, Captain Niveditha. And I think the hardships that you have gone through and how people have taken care of you, it's a very noble thought to give that back to the society. And I could make that while you were saying out there, you were almost into tears, sort of, you were having all those flashbacks and all of that. So hats off to you, Captain, the way you have thought about your life, your journey, and how you're thinking forward to support the life of others. Highly commendable. And thank you so much, Captain, for your time and efforts. And I think this is one of the best podcasts that I have had.
Thank you so much. But yeah, I'm sorry, I mean, I want to add another point.
Right.
When I wanted to started this crisis home, I asked help from my cousin, saying, I really want to put this point because it was connected to me. Then I really felt bad that, I have to start it soon. Because I asked my cousin, she said, what bullshit are you doing? Do you even know how risky it is, to keep women in your house and, without telling anybody or, without any information, do you know how risky it is? You should not start something like that. And she did not even sign, because I asked her to sign, because we need 3 trustees, something like that. So I asked her to sign. She said, no, I cannot do something like this. It's going to be very risky. The same girl called me back when this Delhi incident happened. She said, sorry. She's like, sorry, Akka, if, somebody would have taken a thought and did something like you wanted, I think that girl's life would have been saved. That girl did not go anywhere because she had hard time in her house and she had to suffer with that man. And eventually what happened to her, I'm really sorry that, I did not encourage you. I did not even start doing anything, and it is not even functional. But she came up saying sorry already. It means that, I definitely have a good thought, and people out there really need a place like this, and women like me are everywhere. So yeah, I will definitely do it.
Right, brilliant. And if you need any support from our end, we are ready to give you
Thank you
that support.
much.
And I
Thank
think
you.
because at the end of the day, we are here for the society, we are a part of the society, and if we cannot give it back, then we are not doing our bit for the society. So I think in any way, if we could support you, if you could please let us know, we'll be joining hands, joining
Thank you
forces with
so
you.
much. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain.